Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Both you gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I want to start, if I can, with you, Mr. Morrison, in discussing the 725 phone call and the concerns that Lieutenant Colonel Vindman had. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman came to you with edits for the transcript, and you stated that you accepted all of his edits. Is that correct?
I would have accepted all of the edits that I believed were faithful to what was actually discussed.
Did he come to you with an edit that said that the word demand should be in there?
I don't recall that specifically, sir, no.
He didn't either. How soon after the phone call did he meet with you on that particular issue?
We got the draft, as was normal, fairly quickly after the call, so that same day.
That same day. So today he said, I've reported my concerns to Mr. Eisenberg. It is improper for the President of the United States to demand a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen and political opponent. Now, he was going to Mr. Eisenberg with his concerns about the conversation, yet he did not at any point on the edits say that there should be a demand. And, you know, he didn't do that, but he did say that he didn't come to you with his concerns because you weren't available. But that same day, he came to you with edits. Was that correct?
I believe that's generally correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, he said you weren't available, and you didn't hear the president make a demand, did you?
No, sir.
So sometime between the call and today, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman must have been hearing some voices, and he heard demand at the time, but he didn't hear it that day, and he didn't make it an issue that day, but today he does. I think that's pretty bizarre. When Lieutenant Colonel Vindman went to legal, Mr. Eisenberg, do you know if he was advised not to speak to you?
I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that, no, sir.
Do you know if he was advised to contact the IGIC?
No, sir, I have no firsthand knowledge of that.
So you don't know what he was advised when he went to legal?
No, sir, I do not.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Mr. Volker, I want to tell you, I really enjoyed your opening testimony today, taking us through that. I know it's kind of long, but I thought it was extremely well done, and I appreciate it. You talk about letters signed and sharing concerns about leadership in your assigned country, about agreeing with and sometimes disagreeing with the leadership of your own country when you felt it was appropriate. You're the boots on the ground for the administration, let's face it. You're part of that team that is there to serve the country in that way. And that all to me sounded like the works of a very good diplomat, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
It's truly appreciated. And, you know, corruption was a concern, legitimately, in Ukraine, and in many ways. And Mr. Jordan pointed out some of the things that were done by Ukrainians in plain sight, I might use that term, in plain sight, by putting op-eds in our newspapers. And it's certainly more than one country can be trying to influence our elections. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
And, you know, we keep hearing that whole thing about the Ukrainians, that's all been debunked. It was just the Russians. Well, you know, that comes from an IC community that some of the people that have come up with those conclusions are some of the very same people that we're going to find out, if we haven't already, were deeply involved with this whole Russian collusion hoax. But I want to say you did a great job. You vetted Zelensky's intentions, what he intended to be as a president. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, that was, in fact, one of the key objectives of the presidential delegation at the inauguration, to take our own judgment and report back to the president.
And that's what your job should be. And you became comfortable with this president, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you worked to assure our president that you were comfortable with this president. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in some ways, you have to work sometimes through any means available. And that might include working with Rudy Giuliani if it could be helpful to you to get that message and advice to the president. Would that be correct?
I believe that the messages being conveyed by Mr. Giuliani were a problem because they were at variance with what our official message to the president was and not conveying that positive assessment that we all had. And so I thought it was important to try to step in and fix the problem.
And in that, I think you termed that a useful barometer of where things were?
Yes.
So those useful barometers, I think, can come in a lot of different fashions, like Dennis Rodman in North Korea or James Taylor in France singing "You Got a Friend," if they can help the cause. And in that situation, it's not illegal. Good job, Ambassador. Thank you very much. I yield
you, sir.
back.